Good morning, Mr. Santucci. How are you today?
I'm ready for the draft to be over. I'm ready for it. I wish it was today.
Yeah, it's still a month away. A little bit more than a month. April 25th is the first round. And I think we've already beaten it to death.
Yeah.
There's really not a lot much more we could say, but we're going to say it anyway. And so have millions of others. And,
Yeah. It
especially when you have the sixth pick in the draft, and you got two first rounders now. So now it's like really hot.
Yep, everybody wants to have their 2 cents, which is fine. It's what the Giants guys do, right? We have our 2 cents. Um but I feel, and correct me if you think I'm wrong here, fan base seems very split on the sixth pick, whether it be there's 50% of the fan base that is saying that if they don't draft Haskins, just it's over. We're never going to win another game. It's horrible. Eli's horrible. And the other half the fan base is like, please give me one of these defensive studs because we'll figure out the quarterback thing. It's not hurting us that to that degree.
Well, people think that Eli's the complete problem with this team. And I think they're wrong. I just put out a tweet that stated that last year the Giants allowed opponents to, complete third downs or convert third downs 42% of the time. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
And they had a sack rate of 1.9 sacks per game, which, you're not going anywhere with that either.
Well, and I can also I tweeted someone this morning that and I think I could probably pull a tweet out from the beginning of the year of what my expectations were from Eli, and he pretty much nailed my expectation. He threw for 4,000 plus yards. He threw for 20 plus touchdowns.
Right.
He surprised me with his lowest interception rate of the year. Of his career. 11 is the lowest number he's ever thrown in whatever it is, 16 years or whatever he's been doing since 2004. He had as we know, a dismal offensive line. He lost Beckham for 6 games. He gave the defense 4 additional leads that they choked away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure what else is expected of him. Like, did he need to throw for 5,000 yards? Would that make a difference? Did he need to throw for only 8 interceptions? Would that make a difference? Like, I'm not really sure what else.
Well, those are the statistics, and usually you look at the statistics, and he's in the top 15, top 10 in some, and 66% completion percentage is the best of his career, right?
Sure.
So, I mean, when you look at the stats, he did well, but when you look at in-game analysis, the underthrows, and people say, "Oh, he underthrew this pass." How many passes did he overthrow? Just the timing. He didn't get the timing down with some of his other receivers. Either he let the pass go too early because somebody was in his face and he had to overthrow it, or he just didn't get enough mustard on it. He, as the case in San Francisco, that they keep showing me that clip of Beckham being underthrown and getting the ball picked off or whatever down the field. In a game they won, actually. I understand that he does that. Let me tell you, watch Roethlisberger and watch Rivers and watch the bonehead plays they make too. I have Red Zone, so I get to watch a lot of these other games. I don't have the ticket, but I watch the highlights. Rivers throws a lot of crappy passes. He blows a lot of drives. Ben blew a lot of drives last year. I mean, but nobody wants them benched. Nobody comes up and says, "Oh, Rivers is going to the Hall of Fame." Yeah, but he hasn't won anything, and a lot of the games that I've seen, he didn't look that good. He's got Melvin Gordon. He's dumping to Melvin Gordon. That's what he's doing. He's got Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
Okay? He's in trouble. He throws it to Allen. Allen somehow comes up with the ball. I mean, these guys, they're not head and shoulders over Eli Manning. Put them on the Giants and see how well they do.
Yeah, and let's not, forget that, at this point in his career, you can't expect him to be, Pat Mahomes. Like he's just like he's never been mobile. You
No.
know, and listen, I sit as you know, I sit in the stadium, I watch every game. I sit in the lower bowl, so I have a really good perspective of what happens. There is no doubt in my mind that the guy's been hit a lot, whether it's hard or not. But and he meant from a mentality standpoint, from a vision standpoint, he doesn't want to get hit. I mean, I can tell you, there's been
Right.
a lot of times that I'm completely frustrated that he never would, let the ball go downfield. He doesn't see Beckham downfield. He's already checked it down or thrown the ball in the turf. So, some people call it happy feet. I get it. It got better as the season went along. There's no doubt about it. But you're right. People are right. He doesn't want to get hit. So a lot of times he's not going to stand in the pocket, shuffle up, and rifle it downfield. I really don't think it has anything to do with his arm. I really don't.
Well, here's the question. Here's the thing that I tell people all the time. I don't like to put it out there on social media because I don't want to get blasted. Dwayne Haskins played 14 games, started 14 games for Ohio State against competition that was either equal or inferior. And if you watch his highlight reel, I know highlight reels are deceptive. Nobody comes near him. Nobody hits him.
Exactly.
Okay, so now if you put him on the Giants, he's going to have somebody on him all the time. Even with the offensive line changes, he's going to have problems. Okay, now how does he adjust out of that? How does he roll out of that and make a pass? How does he hit the turf real hard and get back up? Because he hasn't really taken a lot of hits at Ohio State. Ohio State usually rolls every game. They had a couple, they played Michigan, they play some good teams, Penn State. Let me tell you something. He's usually well protected, and it's like shooting fish in a barrel. That's easy to do. Okay? That's easy to do.
The strength of their schedule, if I'm not mistaken, was not even near the top 10. So they did not play, a top 10 caliber strength of opponents. And,
no.
And listen, and you know what though? No one's gonna know, and I think this is a little bit less about Haskins and more about Eli. I don't know what they expect a 38-year-old guy to do when he's getting blasted or there's a guy in his face. And I do think let me
put it to you this way. What did the Saints do last year with Drew Brees? They took him out and put this other kid, Taysom Hill, in several plays a game.
That kid's a gamer, by the way.
Yeah, but he's a big guy. I mean, he's muscular, this guy.
Yeah.
And he could run, he could throw, he could catch, he could do everything. But they mixed it up. They took Brees off the field because a lot of times he wasn't cutting it. He's not the passer he once was. Okay? And he can't take the hits anymore. They don't want him to take the hits. So they put this other guy in for a change of pace, to give him a break. The Giants need a guy they always needed a guy like that. And they never did it. Never did it.
That goes back to having an extremely progressive coach. I'm not saying Shermer's not slightly progressive and McAdoo and Tom Coughlin. I mean, Sean Payton, as we all know, is extremely progressive.
Yes. He likes to experiment.
Yeah. And he brings in the kid, and I don't think Brees has any problem with it. Because
no, especially if he's getting, if he's not being effective. And there was a lot of games he wasn't effective. They started off the season, I believe, scoring a lot of points, and then all of a sudden they started to slow down. I don't really know why. He's got two of the best weapons in the league in Kamara and Michael Thomas. I mean, it's not like he had nothing, nowhere to put the ball, nowhere to throw the ball. But, you have to think about that. And the Giants never did anything to help Eli Manning. Never. The only thing they've ever done to help him was last year they got him Saquon Barkley. Instant babysitter of the football. If you don't know what to do with it, just give it to him.
Yep. So I just, I know we can, as we were talking about, earlier, about beating it to death, and I don't want to beat it to death. I just don't know what else is expected of the guy because the stats are there. And then, of course, yes, the eye test. Mm-hmm. The eye test says it's time to turn the page. Yes. However, it doesn't have to be today because regardless of who throws the rock, it doesn't matter when your defense is absolutely dismal and decimated of talent.
Yeah, they made some trades. that kind of hurt them, and then Collins got hurt. So you're missing Snacks, you're missing Apple, you're missing Collins. The guys they had replacing them, let's face it, they weren't really NFL level players. Some of these guys.
No, Riley, Stupar. I mean, no, Morrow. Martin. These guys they wouldn't start on another NFL team. So just overall, on the topic of, the draft, like we do understand, or at least I understand that, it's time to turn the page. But I also realize that it's okay right now to let him manage the game and then have some opportunity to win the game on his back, like, because he's not going to carry the team anymore. It's Barkley's, right? It's Barkley's team.
Yep.
He'll carry the team. But, overall, if you draft a quarterback at 6 and you ice him to 2020, you're basically giving up on 2019. And that's just, I think, a really bad message to send.
Well, what happens, every game, they'll be calling for the new guy.
Yep.
And that puts pressure on, let's say it's Dwayne Haskins. That puts a lot of pressure on him.
Yep.
When they went to Kansas City model, well, Kansas City was winning when they drafted Mahomes. They were a winning team. Alex Smith, no one ever said take Alex Smith out of the game. Of course, they wanted him to come out to see what Mahomes would do, but Andy Reid wouldn't do it. He's like, no, we're doing well with this guy, and Mahomes is going to sit here and wait. And that's exactly what happened. Giants don't have that luxury because they won't be winning.
No. They won't be winning for a while, because, if he does come in, now you've got $20 million sitting on the bench, right? Mm-hmm. You got a kid with 14 starts running the show. He doesn't have a whole lot of experience to lean on, whether it's locker room based or, I mean, geez, can you imagine what it's going to be like if Haskins is starting with a $20 million quarterback on the bench and then something goes wrong? Whose job is it to step up and fix it? The kid? I mean, I don't think it makes sense.
But let's talk about that with the 6th pick. Barring anybody making a colossal mistake in front of them, and if Arizona is truly going to take Kyler Murray, that means you're drafting 5th now, not 6th, right?
Yep.
Because the rest of the field is yours. So with 4 teams in front of them, and 3 of those teams almost have to take one of the big 3, Bosa, Quinnen Williams, Josh Allen. If they don't, the GM should be fired because those are 3 guys that are going to start and be Pro Bowlers from the day they put on the uniform. You could not pass on any of those guys. So if one of them does, if Oakland does something stupid, which I don't think they will because Mike Mayock is there now, Tampa Bay will gladly take one of those guys rather than take Devin White or Haskins. So I'm thinking, barring anything unforeseen, when the 6th pick comes along, the Giants are looking at Haskins or Devin White. Now that is a conundrum to me because there's no wrong answer, there's no right answer. If you take White, it's the right answer because you're going to see him play right away. And people will say, oh, well, if they take Haskins, they should have taken White. That's going to be the problem you're going to have. I don't know how you see it, but that's the way I see it. If you take White, people are going to say, well, we still need a quarterback. Well, no, you don't. Because now 2020 is going to come, and you've got 5 or 6, not 3, 5 or 6 quarterbacks that are probably as good or better than anybody in this draft.
Yeah, because you'll have Herbert, you'll have Fromm if Fromm comes out, you'll have
Tua.
Eason,
right? Tua,
and who am I missing? I think the kid from Stanford, maybe.
Yes. I can't remember his name. My mind is shot today.
Yeah.
But there's at least 5, maybe another one too. There could be 6.
There's always a guy in the bubbles that's going to step up and have a good year this year.
Right.
And that's kind of where I've always been with Haskins. Like, I think Haskins is a really good quarterback. You know how much better he would be if he had stayed in school?
Right. And I think the media wants the Giants to take him because they don't want the Giants to take a defensive player. They don't want the Giants to do the smart thing. They want the Giants to do the popular thing.
Yeah, well, it gives them something to write about.
Well, there's a lot of anti-Giant sentiment. I will tell you that right now. At GiantsWire, that's all we talk about, is how everybody hates the Giants and hates Eli. They want to see the Giants take Haskins because, oh, wow, now they don't have a pass rusher. We're going to beat them again this year.
Yeah. Well,
No.
again, yeah, you're 100% accurate. The media, they all say the same thing over and over and over. Like, there's no one in the mainstream media that stands up and says, hey, no, this isn't the right move. Regardless of what outlet you watch or read, it's the same exact story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't hear any national guy stand up and being like, look, people, you can't win the game without a defense. Like,
right.
It's just, they've moved on from it because they don't want to cover Eli Manning another year. They don't want, the canned answers from Eli, or the eye rolls or the emotion. They want something new to write about, something new to cover, and they don't realize that you're not going to cover Haskins. He's going to be on the bench.
Right.
And then they're going to lose by a lot. And then next year and don't get me wrong, I do understand clearly if the Giants win 5, 6, 7 games that it's going to be very hard, to get a Fromm or a Herbert. But here's my take and see if you agree at any level. The Giants will have close to 100, in cap money next year, right?
Yes. They'll be closing in on that, yeah.
Yeah. So now next year comes around. Normally you build on the draft. We all agree with that. We have Gettleman's draft last year. We'll have Gettleman's draft this year. The defense will be fixed.
Hopefully.
All right.
Yeah.
With maybe 2 or 3 plug and play guys this year, right? Because you're drafting 6 and 17. When you have $100 million to work with, you can be super aggressive in free agency to find that 1 or 2 guy you need to fill the hole. So now when the draft comes, you're not 100% relying on the draft to fill your holes. So you can afford to move around and move up to get whoever you want, whether it's Eason or Herbert or whoever it is, Tua, whoever they want. You can afford to move up the board to get who you want because you don't need the same exact 7 picks, 8 picks, 9 picks as you did the year prior. This year you can fix this defense with 2 or 3 plug and play guys.
Correct.
So next year you have some flexibility.
Right. And the quarterback from Stanford we're talking about is KJ Costello.
Yes.
Right. So, he's going to be there. There's 5 that I really like. And I think that if you wait till 2020, you can actually get, like you said, a plug-and-play guy. You know what I'm saying? Like this year, Haskins isn't going to be a plug-and-play guy. I think he's a little green when it comes to – he's smart. Don't get me wrong. And I think that he might be able to do it. But on this team and this offense, is he the right player? I don't know. We're gonna find out.
Yeah, we are. I would be disappointed they drafted him not because of Haskins. That I would be disappointed that it's a double-edged sword because I don't like the inexperience, and I don't like the inexperience in New York City. If he had maybe less experience and he was in Pittsburgh or I don't know, a little bit smaller of a market, maybe there wouldn't be so much pressure. This is going to come down on that kid like a ton of bricks. And the fact that he says, I'm a Giants fan, I grew up liking the Giants, that's only going to make the pressure more.
Yes, that's true. And, there's an aspect of this that I didn't dive into on Twitter, and thank God I didn't. Is that the Giants are going to stay away from him because he's black and he can't be the face of the franchise. And I'm like, are you out of your mind?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's insane. Are you crazy? That doesn't even come into play. Matter of fact, I didn't even think about that until somebody brought it up. And then, of course, we had to do the research. The Giants have only started 1 black quarterback in their 90 plus year history. Do you know who that is?
Geno Smith.
That's right. It's Geno Smith. But it's not because it's planned that way. It just happened to be like that.
And I'm sure there are 25 other teams that have the same stat.
Yeah. There's some teams that probably have started none. I'm not even going to dignify that by researching it.
Of course, and that's the thing. I like Haskins. Like, if he was around next year, I'd be like, wow, can you imagine having Fromm, Haskins, and Herbert and Eason? Oh, that would be tremendous. No, you could do no wrong. And I understand the position of him coming out. I just don't like the 14 starts. He's never had to go year to year with new playbooks and new coaches. He's never had to, lean on diversity. Like, wow, we stink this year. Wow, we're great this year. Like, he's had no roller coaster ride. That's what makes these players great. When you look at the Mahomes, or you look at the Rodgers, or you look at these guys, they've started 2 years, 3 years. They know what it takes, to win. Not saying Haskins isn't a winner, but what does he know? He stepped in, he started, he threw the ball around the field like crazy. He played, low-level competition for most of the season, and there's really nothing in his way to let him say, wow, I got to pick my big boy pants up and get moving, or I'm not letting this get in my way, or you know what? All right, let me reevaluate what I'm doing. He only knows 14 games.
Right, but if they drafted him with the 6th pick, I understand the thinking. It's fine with me if they do that. But the problem I had with him, watching him at the Combine and then yesterday, or Wednesday rather, was that he looked like he got a little gassed during the workouts. It doesn't look like he's in 100% shape. Now he's 22 or whatever he is. It gets harder to stay in shape as you get older. We both know that.
Sure.
So you got to look at the conditioning. I'm saying that there's a lot of quarterbacks in this league that probably don't have great conditioning programs. But when you're 22, you should be coming out of the gate full of vim and vigor. And I just didn't see that. I saw a lot of skill. He threw the ball well. He hit everything he needed to hit. He's smart, confident. He moves okay in the pot. For a pretty big guy, he moves okay. But I just thought he wasn't in shape for some reason. Is that possible?
Again,
am I blind?
Well, yeah. Well, you alluded to it before. Is he's, he's not very, mobile. He does. So I mean, he is mobile, but that's college. Wait till he plays against the best of the best of the best.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's really had to push himself from memory. He started 1 year. You know what I mean? He's sat on the bench a whole lot. And that's something, think about it. You sit your freshman year, you sit your sophomore year, you start your junior year, then you first year in the pros, you sit again. He's done a lot of sitting.
Right. It's not like Kyler Murray, so when he's not playing football, he's playing baseball. He's doing something.
Yeah, I just don't know if he's had to push himself from a conditioning standpoint, or maybe it's a mentality. I don't know. He seems like a great kid, and he seems like he would be a good leader on the team.
Yes.
Oh
yeah.
I do think he's going to struggle with his mobility. Like, he's got to be moving when these guys are coming, and I'm not so sure he's that guy. He's got a little bit of heavy legs.
Right. That's one thing I noticed too.
Yeah, like he just doesn't snap. When you see Mahomes, you're like, oh man, this kid is just, he's just so nimble, or, listen, and I don't like Murray, but when you see Murray can move. I mean,
that's his game, man.
Yeah, he's like a little jackrabbit, So I don't know. If they draft him, we support him and we hope he does well. But it has split the fan base in half.
Yep.
And we can move on a different topic. But my final word is, if they draft him, we support him. It's just a shame that he'll have to sit for another year. That would be on the bench 3 or 4 years, I just don't know if that, if that situation is the best for the Giants.
No. And that brings me to the next part of this conversation. They were checking out Locke and Greer yesterday, and they split up because there's just too many pro days to go to, at the same time. So Shermer went to see Greer, and Shula went to see Locke. And I don't think they have a lot of interest in Locke for some reason, and I could see why. He could make all the throws. He could move. He's a bright kid. In college, he wasn't a winner, as we know, so he'd fit right in here. No, only kidding. But I didn't like his delivery. He's got that 10 o'clock delivery. He's got that Phillip Rivers delivery, and he's not as big as Phillip Rivers. So, to me, in the NFL, I see him getting a lot of passes knocked down. That's the way I envision it. That could be out of my mind. People always say I concentrate on the wrong things, and then the games start, and I'm like, I told you so.
Yeah.
See, I told you. Oh, well, yeah, right. I told you that's going to happen. You need an overhand delivery, a football delivery, and I think he slings the ball like Cutler a little bit. And I don't. Jeff George, remember Jeff George?
Yeah, but Jeff George had a cannon.
He had a great arm, but he slung the ball. He didn't throw it, and that's what I saw out of Drew Lock. Now, when I saw Greer, I saw a champion underachiever. Guy was running all over the place, throwing the ball around. Now, apparently, he has the highest velocity of all these quarterbacks on his passes. I didn't see that. I don't see that in the game. He's kind of lobbing the ball around sometimes, which you have to do. Don't get me wrong. You can't be like John Elway and throw fastballs all the time. But, he has the best velocity of any passer in college coming out. But I didn't see that in games. So I'd like to see that in the pros. Like I said, somebody's going to get very lucky with this guy, depending on where you take him. If you take him in the first round, you're going to be disappointed. If you take him in the second round, there's less expectation. And you may be, saying, wow, what a nice pick. But I would not take him in the first round because I haven't seen enough, even though the talent is there. And he could be
Greer or Locke?
Greer. He could be a system quarterback. And if he's a system quarterback and he's not going to play in that system, you've got to break him down and teach him from, the ground up. But I think the talent's there from what I saw.
So, I haven't seen a whole lot of, their games. I mean, West Virginia's on TV a whole lot more.
Yeah, they're a big school.
But it's interesting because I think if you combine them together, you'd have a great quarterback.
Yeah.
Because like Greer to me is definitely not a first round pick. He's 6'3". He's athletic. I like his game. He's very confident.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think he's not afraid to
he's
make
he's a gunslinger without the gun.
Yeah,
because
Great,
even
great
though
point.
his velocity is the highest, I don't see that for some reason. It doesn't translate into the film. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
No. I'm sure there's a little bit of that. I mean, again, I don't know if he has the mobility of being Alex Smith or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, I don't think he's a confident guy. He's had some ups and downs with transferring, and he's made some mistakes and he's owned up to it. I think from a personality standpoint, anybody would like Greer. He's got famous brothers in his family.
Mm-hmm.
So from a standpoint of the media and being accountable and not afraid to make that throw, I think he might have a little Alex Smith in him. I think he'd be. I don't think he'd ever be a top echelon QB, or I think something like, Locke has some different type of intangibles. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a little bit bigger of an arm
Right.
than Greer. I but when you said Cutler, I mean, I think you nailed it. I mean, to
For
me,
Locke, yeah.
Yeah, Locke is Cutler. I mean, like literally, he's Cutler. Like I almost feel like he's being reincarnated. Like guy with a good arm, but like just I don't know, not all dialed in.
And he seems to have that kind of attitude or swagger to him that, you may have to temper when he gets here to the NFL.
Yeah, it's gonna. I mean, again, I don't see either one of them being a number 17 pick.
No, I don't see. Well, Locke could go. I mean, the Redskins need a quarterback. Dolphins are looking at quarterbacks. There are other teams that, like San Diego, not San Diego, the LA Chargers, that are looking for a future quarterback. So you never know.
I meant from the Giants. I don't see the Giants picking him at 17.
No, and there's a lot of people mocking Daniel Jones to the Giants at 17. Now we haven't seen his pro day yet. It's next week, but I don't think it's a great idea to take that guy at all.
No,
because I looked at his highlight reel, and the highlight reel should be a knockout. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Jones does not have it.
Correct. Jones does not have. He doesn't. It's not the it factor.
No.
Yeah.
No. I almost think he knows he doesn't have the it factor.
Yeah, it's insane. Like some of these people, oh, you should just take Daniel Jones. Some of the experts are saying this, and I'm like, if you look at his highlight reel, the first thing they run are the career stats, and one of the stats is he's the 6th highest passer in Duke history. Now, if he was a basketball player, I'd say that's pretty good, right?
Yeah,
but he's a football player. Duke is not really a football school, and this guy's the 6th best passer of all time in their history.
Well, that goes right
that
back.
Means nothing to me.
Exactly. I think there's just so much garbage out there. Like someone's afraid to have a real opinion. Like, oh well, David Cutler, who cares? Like, I don't care about.
And aren't we trying to get away from that? Do we want an Eli clone? We're trying to get away from that.
Exactly. But that could be Gettleman's choice. But regardless of what it is, the team is going to need a QB. And you know what? A lot of second and third round quarterbacks don't make it, and only 50% of first round picks make it.
Correct.
So, and that's a stat that came from Joe Thomas. The recent retired Brown.
Yeah.
He was breaking some stuff down on QBs on NFL Network, and he's like, look, 50% of first round draft picks make it. And that percentage gets really small when you start getting in second, third, fourth round. So
and recently, how many quarterbacks make it when you think about it? There's a couple that are playing well now, but it's not. There's no guarantees. I mean, Mahomes was a first round pick, Wentz, Goff, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I just don't see these guys. Like, I don't think Greer or Locke or Jones are anything but maybe they're a low-level starter or a backup. They just didn't, when you watch their college games, they don't jump off the page.
Especially Locke. I mean, he's playing in the SEC. He's not on one of the better teams. Missouri was not that good. He's playing Alabama. I mean, if you look at the Quinnen Williams highlights from Alabama, he most of the highlights are against Locke. He's just knocking him down every play. Got him for a safety on one play. I'm watching it before. So, he's up against stiff competition, and he's not faring well. And I think that has to come into play at some point because he's not on a good team. He's not playing for a good one of the better programs. SEC is a tough league.
Yeah, I can't see if they draft Haskins in the first round. Like we'll support the pick regardless of whatever the game plan is. And there's a game plan. They get paid a lot of money to have a game plan. That's everything I see on Twitter is there's no game plan. These guys get paid too much money to not have a plan. Let
me tell you something. When you walk in the building, there's a lot of people there. They're all doing something. They all have a job. They're working. People are working. It's not like there's two people sitting in an office saying, gee, who should we pick? No, there's hundreds of people doing this stuff.
Yeah, and
research,
there's a lot of
scouting. And what happened with the Ohio State Pro Day the other day, I sent out a tweet saying that the Giants are taking it seriously because they had Chris Mara, right? He was there. Chris Pettit, the head scout, and Shermer. I mean, Gettleman doesn't travel. He's got issues. Doesn't travel everywhere. He only goes here and there. But if you send all three of those guys to scout one player, and they weren't there to look at Nick Bosa. Well, they could have while they were there, but I don't think he's not coming. He's not full in the number 6.
Yeah, on top of the fact that he didn't do any of the drills anyway.
Well, it doesn't matter. But they were all there to look at Haskins. So if you send that 3 shot callers, as I call them, to see a player, you're serious. And they only sent Schuler to see Locke, and they sent Shermer to see Greer because they don't have as much interest. At the number 6 pick, that's it. Everything hinges on that pick. Your whole draft hinges on that pick.
I cannot see the Giants drafting a quarterback at all outside the first round. There's no way into the 17th
At number
pick.
6, either you take Haskins at 6 or you start drafting defense.
You hands down. That's the ticket. Is plug and play. Give me one at 6. Give me one at 17. Bang. They're going to be 2 starters out of the gate. Maybe a plug and play guy in the second round, and man, we're in a good spot. The defense now has got real quality playmakers, and we're off running in the right direction. It would be a mistake. I mean, and I don't, I have an opinion, but a strong opinion on the fact that the Giants drafted a quarterback at 17 or a quarterback in the second round. It's a mistake because they're not going to be the quarterback of the future, like Laletta or Webb or Nassib or Bomar or any of these guys they've drafted over the years.
Correct.
They're kind of like taking a stab at it, like, hey, maybe this works out. Either draft them at 6 or don't draft them at all.
That's it. So that's what they went to see. They went to see if we decide to go quarterback, we want to make sure that we're making the right choice here. Okay, we can't miss on this pick. Even though they have 12 picks in the draft, you can't miss on number 1. You got to hit on that. And that's why all three of those guys went. And somebody tweeted back to me, "You're reading too much into this. That's a stupid take." Blah, blah. I said, stupid? When you send 3 guys, your 3 biggest guys, to see one player, that's not stupid. That tells me, and I know the Giants, that tells me they're interested.
On top of the fact they're saying, listen, I don't want to have to relay to you what I saw. I want you sitting right next to me, so we're seeing the same thing in real time.
When you see Chris Mara, it's serious.
Oh, yeah. I mean, think about it. I can relate to you.
He wants to go to the track and watch his horses.
Yeah, I understand. I agree, because if I'm sitting there and I'm on my cell phone and I'm texting you about what I see, or you're sitting next to me and I go, did you just see that? Or what do you think about that? Right. They're there to basically make a decision if he's the caliber guy.
Here's the other thing. They want to meet him. Mara wanted to meet him. Okay, I don't know if he was at his combine. I doubt he was at the combine. I didn't see him. But they wanted to meet him. I know he's going to come in to the facility. They'll meet him then too. But they want to make sure. They want to vet. And, they've made too many mistakes recently. They can't keep doing it. So they just want to make sure.
I think it's a mistake to draft a guy, though, that wants to be a Giant that bad.
And let me tell you, somebody makes a mistake in that top 5. If a Quinnen Williams, they took him out to dinner. Okay? Or if this guy, Josh Allen, drops to them, I doubt it. The Jets have to be smart here and take one of these guys. They can't be trading away their pick or moving off that and doing something stupid.
Well, it's going to happen. Just, lock yourself in.
And Oakland, too. Oakland, I'm afraid of Oakland.
Well, if you're talking about just upsetting the apple cart,
yeah,
Denver and Miami need a quarterback bad, regardless of them signing Flacco. Well, Flacco's a two-year bandit.
I think that neither one of them are going to be able to get up into the top 5 from where they are right now.
but they could get the 6.
If they want, yeah, we'll give them number 6. But it all depends on who's there. You can't trade the 6th pick because you're gonna get a guy. You're gonna get a great guy.
Think about this, though. I mean, it's the
Can't
wild
trade
card,
it.
and I know we're beating on it a little bit, but Miami signs Fitzmagic, right?
2-year deal.
2-year deal. Fitzmagic is gonna be the bridge to a new QB, right? This is a great opportunity for Miami to move up, get their guy, whether it be
Yeah, but they could do that next year.
I agree with that too. I don't
So
know
could
if
Denver.
I don't know if Miami, like, at least there's, like, for me, it's all right. Eli's steady, right? He's the steady guy. He's been there before. I mean, if Fitz bombs by game 6, they don't have anything else.
Yeah, I think that's the plan. They want to. I don't say tank, but they want to let this season run its course because they got a brand new coach, and he's making a lot of changes. Brian Flores. So they know it's going to be tough year 1. So year 2, they can go into the draft. Maybe they'll be in the top 5 next year. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Miami's going to be that good this year.
No, but Miami, Denver, and the Raiders all could do something to throw off the trajectory of the board.
The Raiders really have 3 first-round picks. I mean, when they're at number 4, they just got to take the turnkey guy. I mean, if you're looking at Josh Allen, you just traded away Khalil Mack. Here's the replacement. They are comparing Josh Allen to Derek Thomas. No, you don't. Scouts don't compare, college players to Hall of Famers. They usually compare them to somebody who's playing in the game right now.
Yeah.
They never compare him. They're comparing this guy to Derek Thomas. Are you kidding?
If he's half as good as Derek Thomas, he's great.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So these are credible sources. They said this guy cannot miss. He is that good. So if you pass on him, if Mike McCagnon passes on him, Jet fans should just forget it. I don't even want to say what they should do, but this guy has made so many bad choices in the past. That would be another one to pass on this guy. And Williams is a force. Williams takes 3 offensive linemen and pushes them in the backfield.
Yeah.
And you don't need a pass rush because there's nobody blocking the other guys. They should be able to get to the quarterback.
Well, let's do this. So we've been talking for 40 minutes about QBs and round 6. Let's do this if you don't mind. I'd love to hear your opinion. And you're listening to the Giants guys, and we're kind of thinking that free agency should be at least a couple-minute discussion on what they've done so far and what you think may still happen. So I'd love to hear your opinion on what they've, just a kind of an overview. Like, what do you like what they've done so far?
Yes.
And do you think there's anything left to do?
Well, there's not a lot of players on the table that are worth taking. You can get a veteran offensive tackle for right tackle right now, but I think you have to get one in the draft. I think you have 4 picks in the first 2 days. You got to use one of them to get that right tackle. Or you could use it like in the 4th round. There is some. They like this guy Titus Howard from Alabama State. He's gaining some traction. He's a big kid. I like his tape. You got to get somebody to play that right tackle position because right now Wheeler is rated so low compared to the other linemen. I mean, he'll probably get better, but you can't count on that. And I think a veteran this year plus you draft somebody. I don't think they'll go for Jonah Williams or Jawan Taylor. I like Andre Dillard. I like. So if you draft an offensive tackle, nobody can dispute the pick, ever.
So you think there's enough? There's a free agent tackle out there?
Well, they got Jeremy Parnell. They got this guy Remmers coming in. He went away without a contract. He left without a contract. The Giants are only $13 million over the cap. They really don't have a lot of money to play around with. That's the key to me. That's the first order of business this season is to get that right tackle. Then the defense. That's the first order of business for me. That's my to-do list. Got to get that right tackle.
I've never been a fan of a coach coming in and bringing in his former players, and they've replaced their safeties. there's definitely going to be a lot more production out of, Peppers and what's his name from Arizona.
Bethea, Antoine Bethea. The thing
yeah.
is that when you're dealing with Collins, well, Riley just signed with the Raiders. I don't know what they're thinking. They must
They're
hate.
not
They must,
thinking.
like I said, they must hate money if they're giving it to that guy.
Yeah, they're not thinking.
And the thing is that you have two real safeties now, not box safeties, but guys that can cover, guys that can play the safety, can play the north-south safety position. You know what I'm saying?
He's not very
Collins
young.
is an east-west safety guy. He's a box guy.
He's 35.
He's 34, first of all, to be precise.
Sorry.
And he had 120 tackles last year. He led the Cardinals in tackles.
Oh yeah, he's
so
like I said.
He's only on a 2-year deal. That's all you want him. 2 years.
Yeah.
Until you're going to draft a young safety, and I've got about 6 of them that I love in this draft. We like Jaquan Johnson, but hey, there's a whole bunch of them.
I love.
If you do your homework, you'll see. There's this kid in Utah, Marquise Blair. You can get him in the 6th round. You can get Mike Bell from Fresno State. You got to see this guy hit. Holy smokes! He's going to get penalized in this league, but still, there's a lot of players out there. How many guys are 5'10" to 6'1" between 190 pounds and 210 pounds in this country? 40,000. Think about that.
And
how many of them can play football? Okay, 1,000. 1,000 can play football.
There are enough safeties that you can get someone in the 3rd or 4th round that might actually give some of these guys a run for their money, because there's some players out there.
Yeah, think about how the Patriots do it, and nobody wants to think about that because the Patriots cheat. Well, maybe they do, but they win, and they take guys and make players out of them. Okay, this guy can do this. We're going to have him do this. And if you need 2 guys to do a job, you sign 2 guys to do the job. You platoon them. You don't need superstars. Like the Giants had too many superstars on this team where, the sum of the parts was greater than the whole. And that's not a team.
The other big free agency move was Tate.
Perfect.
So the safeties we're happy with.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on Tate? I like Tate.
Mm-hmm.
He from the standpoint of he's reliable, good catches.
Yep.
Seems like a good locker room guy.
Yep. Also grew up a Giant fan, so
Yeah, my curiosity with Tate is, okay, well, he plays the same position as Shepard. He's 31 years old. They gave him a ton of money. Does that mean Shepard? The writing's on the wall for Shepard.
Well,
why would
I wrote, and people just blasted me that they would trade Shepard for a draft pick. Now there was 2 scenarios. They could trade Shepard to Arizona straight up for Rosen, and people are like, "Whoa, I never thought of that." Well, yeah, you should start thinking about that.
Well, I don't.
And they're not going to sign him, Craig. He's going to be making $10, $11 million. They're not going to pay that for him next year. It's the last year of his contract. They're going to try to trade him. If New England comes in, New England wants him. They do. Because they're looking for a receiver. They tried to get Adam Humphries, and Humphries, for some godforsaken reason, didn't sign with them and signed with Tennessee. Bill Belichick wants you. He wants you to be the new Julian Edelman. He wants you to be the new Wes Welker. And the kid says, "No, I want to play in Tennessee."
I just don't see.
Just cost himself a couple of rings.
Yeah, he probably doesn't like the cold, but Shepard to me is a guy that you can't flip this past season. The roster was flipped over 70%. So now you're going to flip over the other 30% and have a whole new team. No continuity at all. It's just a bunch of guys running around in blue jerseys. I mean, that's not a team. And I understand Shepard may cost some money.
Not a team now. So
you hope there's some guys that have been on this team for 2-3 years that could be the beginning of a team. And I don't know if Shepard gives you a hometown discount.
No, he won't. No, this is a business. You don't get a hometown discount.
Well, you can hope, because I just don't think replacing him with a 31-year-old receiver is the move.
They didn't replace him. He's an addition to.
until he's gone.
right? Okay, so if this is what you can do in this draft. There's some receivers you can get in the middle rounds. There's some really good ones too. There's a lot.
Okay.
There's a lot of players out there that don't get coverage.
I agree, but I just
that can step right in.
My overall thought is just is this, and give me a second. Shepard's a second round pick.
Right.
Every year he has gotten better. Yards per catch has been better.
Yes.
Overall yards, targets are the same. So now he's making more out of the same that he's gotten year after year. 65 catches a year, more yards per carry. He's doing more with the ball.
But you can't pay him number one receiver money.
No, but he's 25 years old, and I don't know many slot receivers getting 9-10 million. Maybe there's a couple, but we talked about this last week or the week before. Is the Giants do nothing proactive, zero, nothing. Like right now, you're telling me, okay, Shepard goes, and now I've got a 31-year-old, a 32-year-old, a 33-year-old as your number one guy. And if there's guys in the draft, well, you're not drafting a wide receiver in the second round, which was Shepard, and he was plug and play. So now you're back to the same scenario. I sure hope this fourth-round draft pick pans out and catches 1,000 yards. It doesn't happen. Well, we shouldn't expect it to happen.
Here's the thing. You've got Barkley, and he's going to catch a lot of passes. A lot of teams don't have a 90-catch running back, right?
Yep.
You got a tight end who could catch, who could play basically receiver. Well, he catches once in a while, but who could play receiver? Exactly. He could play receiver. He doesn't have to play tight end. All right, and you got Tate. Okay, you have Coleman who could stretch the field. I know that everybody says that's a joke, but he can do it. Believe me.
But you're also asking for everything to be perfect for that to work. One, you're asking Coleman to somehow figure it out after 3 franchises.
Well,
you're asking Tate not to get any older,
his tender,
and you're asking Ingram to catch the ball.
Well, yeah, that's the plan. I mean, they have they're going to draft. They're going to draft some players, to play offense too. I mean, as well as the defense. It's going to work. It's going to work itself out. You watch.
I hope so, because I don't like the direction of, the Giants did score the most points in the NFC East, right?
Correct.
They were in the middle. I looked it up. I think they were 18 or 19 in the NFL, so they're middle of the pack, right? Yep. I do not think by having a rookie quarterback, a journeyman wide receiver in Coleman, a tight end who kind of catches the ball sometimes, as the safety blanket, being Barkley, because you're going to pound the guy to death. So I'm only saying is that if they were looking long term, if they were trying to figure out, hey, I'm going to put a rookie QB in here, who can my guy count on that's not a running back? It would be Shepard, and they would find a way to sign a guy who's 25 years old. I understand the money and everything, but if you're telling me that Dwayne Haskins, if he's your QB, is going to start off with the journeyman Coleman, the part-time tight end in Ingram, and a 32-year-old Tate, that's not going to score you enough points. Like, I'm not saying Shepard is number one.
Well, he just said he's not going to play this year anyway, even if they draft him. He's not going to play.
I'm talking about a whole year from now, right?
So, like we said, they have a lot of money next year. They'll be bringing in wide receivers. It'll work out.
All right, I'll stop beating it. But just remember this: if you go out and you sign a wide receiver in free agency to save $1 million or $2 million on Shepard, just figure it out now. Like, the Giants have never done anything proactive. You know what I mean? So, like, Shepard's exactly in the Collins position. You don't have Collins because you let it go to the end. He got hurt. He sat out, and you dished him.
Right.
So right now, think about, I'd rather have a 25-year-old wide receiver than a 32-year-old wide receiver. Figure it out now.
Yeah, I think they are. I think what they're looking to do is they're trying to be more like the Patriots, the Packers, the Steelers. When contracts are coming up, you've got to make a determination. We're going to continue on with this guy, or we're not. If you're not, you've got to make the deal.
Yep.
You can't let them. You can't let them hit free agency.
And I look at it like, Welker and Edelman and Amendola, right? Same guy catching the ball for Brady, just none of those guys got jet setted out. They were there for a while, right?
Yes.
You want young guys. I'm pro Shepard for everything he
No,
is.
I love him, but the thing is that you can't keep everybody.
No, but they need to find a way. Before we end, I do want to throw this at you because I tweeted this out today. I know we're pressed up against the clock. Think about how about I know you're gonna love this. I don't know if you saw the tweet I sent out yesterday. You always have that wish list, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I'd like to see the Giants do is trade out Ingram for Rosen and draft the kid from Iowa. What's his name?
Hawkinson or Fant.
Hawkinson,
they have two,
right? Because if Hawkinson
is more like they compare him to Travis Kelce, which is a pretty lofty comparison, and Fant they compare to Eric Ebron.
Yeah,
how come Iowa isn't the national champions if they have these two guys?
Yeah, exactly. No, they've got problems on the offensive line and that quarterback. But I'd love to see. You know what? You want Rosen? Use Ingram, trade him up for Rosen, and then bring in Hawkinson and get yourself you were talking about playmakers at the tight end position. That kid is fantastic.
Those guys that we mentioned, the Iowa guys, are both first-round talents. That's the problem. So they're not going to fall to the second round. I doubt it. So you'd have to get them. You'd have to get them early, and they're not going to do that.
You might be able to get Hawkinson at 17.
Oh, you probably could. I'm just saying, but that's the first round. I mean, you can't. You already have Ingram. He's already cheap.
Trade him.
And I think since Shepard, if you're not going to keep him, he's the trade guy. He's the guy you get another draft pick out of, a day 2 draft pick, or you get Rosen for him. Now people say to trade for Rosen, the quarterback situation is solved. No, you're bringing him in here. He's going to compete for a job. You could still draft another quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the world does not end after this year. This is not the only year quarterbacks are ever going to come out.
No, in fact, if you bring Rosen in, that gives you the ability to draft Eason or draft whoever.
People say, well, Rosen isn't that good. I said, well, he's as good as some of the guys we've been watching come out this year, maybe better. And you're going to get him. He's under $2 million towards the cap. Because Arizona already paid him his bonus money. He's done.
Yeah, and next year if Fromm comes out, Fromm and Herbert are going to go at the top. But if you had Rosen and you want to compete against Costello and Eason, I think that would be a great situation.
Well, if you're getting Tagliavoa,
I'm not a Tua guy, but he can play.
A playmaker, and he's gonna be a pro. He's gonna be a good pro. He's good. He's a good player.
He reminds me a little bit though of the Haskins situation that they're blowing guys out and they pull him out in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Like he's not facing a whole lot of people when you're just steamrolling guys.
Oh, he's got the horses around him. There's no question about it.
Yeah. So I'm not a big lefty quarterback guy either. Yeah. I mean, I liked Mark Brunell, but I'm not a big lefty QB guy. But I just wonder how much competition he's also faced. Same, yeah,
that's true. You're right.
The guy gets pulled out in the third quarter because they're crushing people.
But he's got the ability. He's definitely going to be a first-round pick and pretty high too if he comes out. And he probably will come out.
Yeah. Oh, Tua, Fromm, and Herbert will go. They'll be gone in the first 10 picks.
So if the Giants are going to be terrible this year, they should be back in the top 10 next year. So what's the point of taking a quarterback this year? That's what somebody asked me. Why are you killing yourself, shooting yourself in the foot when you have so many infrastructure problems? Take defensive line, offensive line, whatever. Take a corner, a safety. Do something rather than take a quarterback who's not going to play. You're going to lose. And there's plenty of quarterback talent coming out next year. You're going to be staring right at it. You won't even have to trade up for it.
Yeah, it's funny because, and again, I don't want to drag on about it, but if you have some really stud defensive guys and Eli can put some points on the board like he did last year, you are going to win. You're going to win 7-8 games, that will make it harder.
They
Maybe
actually should have done that this year.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I was going for. Is that if the defense had just made a stop in any of those 4 games, Philly, Dallas, Carolina, and Indy, you win 7-8 games. So
they had a blown coverage down in Atlanta. That cost them that game.
Yeah, no doubt. But I mean, at least you're going into midway in the fourth quarter. The Giants were winning. Defense chokes it away. With zero talent, zero pass rush. You get a couple plug and play guys. They're going to win 7-8 games. So
right.
At least next year you've got 4 or 5 QBs that are right there too. So if they had Rosen, they could easily go get a guy to compete against him, no doubt.
All right, so that's our show for this week, or today anyway. And Craig, you want to give your call out?
Sure. It's Twitter at NYGiantsRush, and of course NYGiantsRush.com. We got plenty of great content up there. We're going to really start getting into mock drafts this week and really start pushing it the next month. And of course we are the Giants guys, and you can download this podcast on Podbean and Stitcher and Spotify and iTunes and pass it to your friends and help grow the show. Oh, actually, John, remember, we forgot a couple of those Twitter questions that came in. We need to get to those.
No, I went through most of them.
Good.
In our conversation. We covered a lot of the topics. But you can catch me on Twitter at John_Fennelly. And there's a lot of good conversation on that. It's usually just Giants. So you can follow me on there. And until next time, thanks for listening.